Welcome back to Refitting Hanuna. I wanted to just take a little bit of time to kind of catch everybody up um, and myself a little bit on what I've been up to. I've been up to a lot, although it might seem a little dissatisfying how little has happened on the big catamaran Hanuna. It is, in fact, unfortunate. I'd like to have a lot more done at this point. I've got pods I need to build. I have rigging to come up with. Sails are ordered, masts are ordered, but there's a lot to get ready before they're going to come aboard. The biggest thing has been dealing with my beams, as has been my process that has been shown. I've just completed the second beam after having not got back to the boat for the entire summer. It's now December, about 10 days, 2 weeks away from Christmas actually. And due to family emergencies, I haven't been able to put as much time recently into the boat as I would like. So this video is really about everything. It includes the completion of the second beam, but it also kind of shares a little bit about how my process is working and what is inspiring my journey. You're going to see an expedition down to Alvor in Portugal, where my wife and I spent a fantastic few days aboard a very different type of catamaran, but just being on the water on a mooring around a community of boaters on the water. We actually found it on booking.com, and it ended up being a fantastic little experience for us with a French couple who run the boat as a like an Airbnb sort of environment. That really inspired a lot because my wife isn't a sailor, and I'd love to get her on the boat, and I want to have her be a part of the journey. And she really enjoyed it, so that was a huge boon. And other aspects, I was working on the boat there in October, and I have a little rib sort of vessel that I was using to go back and forth from the island where I am now in Southwest Cork to the boatyard, which is up the river. And the whole idea of going there by water was absolutely inspiring and energizing and exciting. The weather was good. I was able to get the beam done. And yeah, so there's a little glimpse of that. So much more has happened than is in the video. My next video is going to focus on the pods that I'm starting to work on, which is what this is here. This is a frame in the workshop to show me what it would feel like, the pod that we're going to have as a sleeping pod on the deck. I'm not going to pan around the workshop here, but I've got an electric outboard going on that I'm building from an old carcass. I've got tillers, which you're going to see a few shots of, that unfortunately are rotten from Hanuna, that I have to repair. One of them is okay, the other one needs rebuilt. I've got my engine sled on the floor here, my first engine sled of two. I've got my different tools in my workshop, and in front of me that you can't see are my e-propulsion batteries, which are probably going to drive a 48 volt 10 kilowatt motor. So yeah, there's a lot going on, and the glimpse of what's happening on the boat is one portion of it. So I just thought I would make this video a little bit more about what's happening around the boat as well as what's happening on the boat. So as usual, my videos are a good half an hour, so hopefully you'll enjoy the experience. I try and pepper them with the local music that we have here in the pub. As an American, not having that culture, the Irish culture is just fantastic. And as you can see, I'm a bit bundled up here today because it's quite stormy outside at the minute. Good to be in the workshop and have a space to be able to work in. So all of it I'm extremely grateful for, to have this space to have the journey up the river and back. Actually, one aspect of that, the boat I was taking up and back while I was away for 2 weeks sunk. So you're going to see a couple of shots of that. So that was a real disheartening because it was so nice to go up and back the river. So I've got another vessel I'm working on, another boat. And so I've got a lot on my plate, but I'm enjoying the journey. And I think that's what it's about, really, isn't it? You know, what also is going on in this next space over in the workshop here, I've been building a studio. I'm a glass blower, and so I have my glass blowing set up next door. So I've been experimenting with that. Maybe I'll throw a few shots of that in there as well. So there's a lot spinning around my world, and I am excited about Hanuna and where it's going to take me. But this is a little insight into all those things. So enjoy the video. Please give it a like and subscribe, and see you at the other end.
Okay. One,
There's almost
two.
Traveling by boat, as you're seeing here, was just a total pleasure, and I just felt it was worth sharing what the journey looks like. It's a lovely river called the Illan River. Illan in Irish means elbow, so you can see all the bends, the very elbow-like bends there, so that's why it's called the Illan. Now we're flying over and arriving into Hegarty's, the boatyard. Beyond it is Old Court Boatyard, which is the one with all the plastic boats in it. The more characterful of the one is the closest at the bottom of the screen there, which is where you can see Hanuna is tied up alongside an old trawler, which is literally used just to tie boats to. Upon arriving to Hanuna, I immediately was considering aspects of the deck and took photos and exploring different aspects of how that might work. The new deck, that is. There had been a recent storm in Ireland, Storm Ewan, and it had a massive effect, and there's a huge amount of trees down around us. There's an estate right beside me, and I have a small mill, so I started milling some wood. This is up in Northern Ireland at my workshop there. I decided that I wasn't happy with the noise and the way of that mill, so I decided to build myself a bandsaw mill. So this is the first iteration of that, which worked out okay, but not great. So I followed designs of people online and eventually built a second model. Here it is now with smaller wheels, and you're going to get to see my first test cut here. My intention is to be able to mill wood for the deck. None of the mills around me were able to do that for me. One of them is closed down, which is really unfortunate. Some years ago when I was restoring an Irish trawler, they cut all the larch and all the oak for me. So it's up to me now to cut my own wood as far as I'm concerned. Of course, brakes are essential, and I took my Tiki 26 out at every chance I got, catching fish, sailing with my brother-in-law and other friends. I'm sailing up a river right now into Ballydehob, which is one of the little ports next to us. It's a gathering of the boats. You can see all the gorgeous classic boats out here. Local boat builder and the big one there, and friends of mine in a couple of these. So I'm doing my best to navigate up a river, which is quite a challenge in a catamaran, because tacking is always a bit of fun, but having fun. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, my wife and I took a much-needed break down to South Portugal for about 5 days. We ended up in a little village called Alvor, which I'm badly scrolling into right now. But what's really great about Alvor is this bay here. It's very protected, very sheltered, and they're very happy to have people put their boat there for a long period of time. So we stayed on the catamaran I'm zooming in on, and had a fantastic time. It was just nice to be on the water. The boat didn't go anywhere. There was a lovely couple that hosted us. The weather was fantastic. They prepared a meal for us if we wanted in the evenings. The food was incredible. The evenings, as you can see, the sunsets were spectacular. So it was a really fantastic meet up or time, but most importantly, it was great to just be on a boat experiencing that life, which my wife has never experienced before. So it really was very positive for both of us. Much needed and inspiring for our journey. Soon after my arrival back, I sailed from Hare Island over to Cape Clear, which is the southernmost island on Ireland. And I went there for an energy conference to do with the EU islands. The EU is engaged in a process called 30 by 30, and they're attempting to get 30 islands carbon neutral by 2030, which of course, like the rest of the world, they're way behind on, but it was a lovely opportunity to get out and stay on the boat overnight. I was able to learn a lot of great things, meet some really great people, and hopefully bring some good ideas back to our own island, Little Hare Island. So when I got back to my workshop, I got my tillers out and decided to have a dig into them and look at them. And as you can see, one of them was in pretty bad shape. I needed to redo the mounting system for the crossbar, and they just need a lot of attention. One of them is usable, the other one is toast, so I'm going to have to be rebuilding one. So another task added to my list, long list of things to do. Gradually, I've been working on an engine sled. I have the parts, most of the parts cut for a second one, but I went ahead and processed the first one, which was very satisfying. I got the crew from the boatyard. That's Patty Hegarty working with me at this end to help move this beam on. Man, these are heavy, these beasts. There's a lot of 2x4s stacked up together and laminated. And I had a good crew. We've got Patty, and the older gentleman in the background is his father. And all amazing shipwrights. They all are working on various stages of wooden boats. It's the last wooden boatyard in Ireland, and what they're doing there is fantastic. So really great to have them come out and give me a hand moving this beast. So when it comes to these beams, there are several things that I'm trying to accomplish here. Right now, I'm working with some stops that will keep the beam from moving laterally. So if there were for some reason a shove from one side to the other, rather than putting all that strain on the bolts, these become a point by which the beam can't move as much or at all to starboard or port. After going through multiple potential iterations, this is the solution that I came up with. Rather than putting holes through the beam or through the cabin roof, which was something that was originally in the plans, and after discussing it in detail with Hanneke Moon, this was a recommended solution, just to have something that would keep the beam from moving back and forth. One of the other reasons that I've got these beams out is because that well that I'm working in right at the minute, on this cabin roof and on the other one, where the well meets the cabin wall with the roof, confusing, but they cracked and delaminated, came apart because of the way that these beams were sitting on rubber in that space. This is the beam that I had already repaired, and when I inspected it, I found that there were some little cracks right at the very top edge. It's a small delamination, and it's not a structural concern for me, but it's an area that I wanted to seal off. So while I'm doing the other fiberglassing, I'm going to do some repairs to that as well. inspecting the finished work, I had a close look at these bolts, and I am a little bit concerned about them. So I've contacted other Tehini owners, and I've got a solution for it, which I'll be working on the next video, hopefully, that should make them strong, or keep them strong. So anyway, I'm very happy with the result here. Everything is painted up nicely. I've got nice slots for the wood to match up to, so that there's enough angle for it to rock if it needs to, but if any pushing goes on, it won't be able to go anywhere. So really pleased about that. The only thing I have left to do here is cut the back of the screws, and later I'm going to put some wood here that I'll screw through from this side and give it a little more structural support in that bulkhead. So this is a close-up shot where one of those cracks had been there in the well. You can see the crack along the piece of wood there. This used to be full of water, so I was thrilled to see that it's totally dry. And the work that I've done to repair that beam has done its job. Yahoo! And there had been a lot of rain recently. Back to the workshop, and the work carries on. So trying to keep something going in both places, and here I'm having the great pleasure of removing the peel ply, which is always very satisfying. I'm cleaning up the engine sled, almost ready to paint and fill, but looking well. Really pleased with that. So that's it for this episode, and next time I'm going to focus on the pods. So this is a quick sneak peek at what I've been doing, which was shaping the space to be able to sit down and feel and figure out where my headroom would fall with all of it, and make some final decisions before I start building the pods. So I'll be taking a trip back to Portugal to visit the Spirit of Gaia and Hennekaboon, and check out the amazing boat and the way that some of that was put together. So until next time, thanks for watching. All the best.